Hello, and welcome to Decoding Attachment Styles. Today, I want to address a post that was placed up on Instagram, and the topic of the post is called Respond This Way to Avoidants When They Do Something You Don't Like. Now, I have gotten a few comments on this particular post, and I want to address that. I'm just looking for the comments so that we could really dissect this topic. And of course, we're going to go through the entire thing. So if you missed the post on Instagram, that's perfectly fine. We're going to discuss it here. It's really how to respond to when an avoidant attached person throws a tantrum, or they shut down on you, or you're just not getting anywhere. And the very first slide of the Instagram post says, "You're doing the talk wrong and I'll help you to fix it. First, think," and this part is really important, that an avoidant attached person's brain is not a securely attached person's brain. So we're not talking to someone who's securely attached, and we're not talking to someone who's anxiously attached. When we're talking to these two attachment styles, or the three attachment styles, we want to know how to speak to them in a way that they will be able to receive it. Okay, you can't talk to the brain, not the person, not the human being that we imagine them to be. We cannot talk to someone with an avoidant brain as though it is a securely attached or emotionally healthy brain. We think we have to soft talk an avoidant, but they are really looking at you when you talk to them as though they're a baby and you're trying to pacify them. They're looking at you as, oh, I've got this person exactly where I want them. Oh, it doesn't matter how I treat them. They're just going to take it and keep showing up and being nice to me. So what I'm sharing here is that when you are speaking to someone with an avoidant attachment style, and this isn't, again, it is not every person with an avoidant attachment style. There are many people with avoidant attachment styles who have been working on healing their past wounds, and they are going to be able to show up as a securely attached person. So who exactly are we talking to this way? We're talking to those who are still emotionally immature, those who are unaware, those who are just not working on their healing, and they're the ones who throw a tantrum. These are the ones who storm out on you. These are the ones who ghost you. These are the ones we're talking to. So one of the comments here on the post is that someone says, "This just sounds bitchy and immature to me as opposed to mature and secure. What am I missing?" What we're missing here is the brain that we're talking to. We're not talking to a secure, mature person. We're talking to someone who's got an immature way of reacting and responding. Of course, if you talk to someone with an anxious attachment, the way that I'm going to give advice on how to talk, then you're going to hurt that person's feelings. If you talk to a securely attached person, then they're the ones who are going to say, whoa, this does not work for me. So the response to some of the actions that you'll receive from someone who has not worked on their wounds and they're showing up in an emotionally immature way is the way a secure attached person would speak. Now, there's someone else says that this sounds like, oh, shoosh, I'm trying to find it here. Oh, these are so backhanded. Another thing we want to take into consideration is the tone that we use. Now, if a lot of times we read something and we may read it in a bitchy tone, but how about if we try to read it in a tone that's more assertive? Assertive and bitchy are two different tones altogether. So let's get into what the post was advising to do. So, for example, when they say something you don't like, okay, if they say something that's insulting, something that disrespects you, you can say something like, "Bro or sis, you must not have met the new me. I don't tolerate that kind of tone or language or attitude." So you're saying, hey, you probably don't know who I am. I don't tolerate that kind of tone. I don't tolerate that kind of language. I don't tolerate that kind of attitude. Now, if you listen to my tone, there's nothing bitchy about it. I'm just telling you as it is. You want to say this with assertiveness, and then they will appreciate what they have done, and more than likely, they're going to pause. And their next thought is going to be something like, oh crap, this person's serious. I better stop. I better stop doing the thing I'm doing or saying the thing I'm saying. Your statement is the boundary. You're not feeling the need to explain it. You don't have to make an excuse for it. You're not trying to control them. You're just telling them what you're not okay with. And the thing about those with an avoidant attachment style, whether they have been on their healing journey or not yet, they love boundaries. They're going to probably resist it at first because they're not used to it. But then the respect will come because they know what you will tolerate and what you won't tolerate. They won't take you for granted. They won't walk all over you because now they're going to see a few things. One, you're consistent in sticking up for yourself. They're going to see that you love yourself and you don't tolerate disrespect. They're going to know that when you're not okay, you're going to speak up, which makes them feel safe. They know that you're not playing games or manipulating them. You're not always understanding and patient when they say something disrespectful. They see that you respect you. And when you respect you, that's when other people are going to respect you as well. Now, what do you do when they shut down? You can say something like, hey, you're a grown person. It's not my place to tell you what to do. It's my place to watch how you're showing up. And right now, you don't look like 50% of the kind of partner I'm looking for. Again, that's not bitchy. That is me telling you that, look, I get it. You get to live your life. You get to do whatever you want to. But if you want to be my partner, you're not showing up at the 100% that I'm expecting. It's not a you thing. It's now a me thing. I'm deciding on if you get to fit into my life or not. Now, what that's doing, again, it's telling them that you're not controlling them. You're allowing them to be who they are, but you're also telling them that I'm not just accepting you. I'm not taking the breadcrumbs. I'm not just settling for however you're going to treat me and take you. I'm telling you that I'm observing what you do and I have standards. And I'm okay with letting you go and finding what works for you because in this moment, it doesn't work for me. Now, what will happen is they're going to process and assess where they're at, and they get to decide if they want to step up to meet you where you're at, because you're telling them that you're not stepping down. You're not dropping your values. You're not dropping your standards to make sure that they're part of your life. So again, it is instilling respect. Okay? Again, pay attention to tone. When they shut down, what do you want to do? You want to say something like, since you don't seem to be present or interested in engaging, I'm going to leave you to your thoughts. You know where to find me if or when you want to talk. Again, you're not controlling anyone. You're seeing the situation for what it is. One of the big mistakes I see a lot of people make is they come and they say, oh, but they're a grown person. Oh, but why can't they just have a conversation? Because they're not securely attached. Because they have an insecure attachment style. And this statement goes for both the avoidant attached person and the anxious attached person. We cannot expect the person to be securely attached. They are just not. They're going to be reactive. They're going to trigger us because they're not of the mental frame of mind to sit and have a healthy conversation. Okay, so when we speak this way, when we say something like, hey, I notice that you're not interested right now in having this conversation. I can't imagine what might be happening in your mind. I don't know what your stresses are. It's perfectly fine. Whenever you're ready to talk to me, you know where to find me. And then you step away and give them some space. What this does, it instantly removes the pressure of them feeling forced to say something, and it replaces it with the fear of you walking away because the pressure is gone, but now they remember, if they've forgotten, that you've got your boundaries and you're not going to stick around and beg them. You are not going to stay there and mollycoddle them and mommy them into having a conversation with you. You're not wasting your time. You've got other things to do, other things that brings you joy. And if they're not ready to talk, that is okay. You're showing them the respect. And when you do that, it instantly, instead of them feeling pressured into, oh my gosh, I've got to talk to this person, I've got to say something, but I don't know what to say, I don't know what the right thing is, you take that away. You take away the pressure. You say, no need to talk right now. But instantly the processing starts and they start to think about stuff like, okay, this person's been showing up for me. They're trying to build a relationship. Do I really want to let this conversation slide, or do I really want to hold off on it? When they throw a tantrum, now, if someone's throwing a tantrum, we know that this is someone who is unable to control the way they respond or react. They're throwing a tantrum in our presence, and it is an immature act. And for most of us who have been on the healing journey, we've gotten to a place where it just drains our energy to deal with it. Now, what you want to do is snap that person into your reality instead of being sucked into their reality, which is all about drama. You can say something like, hey, I notice you're throwing a tantrum. You could say sissy fit. You could say whatever you want to. You just want to call it out. You want to say, I see that this is what you're doing, and this is not how I communicate. When you're ready to talk and be a grown-up or pretend to be a grown-up, and we're saying pretend because when we can acknowledge that the other person is still emotionally immature, what do we generally say? Oh my gosh, they're behaving so childish. So do we expect them to be a grown-up 2 minutes after they're childish? No, but we can act it. Just as the same way many of us teaching attachment theory, we're telling people like, look, you got to act being secure before it happens. We're saying act as a grown-up so we can have effective communication, healthy communication. And then when you're done saying, hey, I notice you're throwing a fit here. I notice you're throwing a tantrum. That's not how I communicate. You can reach out whenever you're ready to talk, whenever you're ready to be a grown-up about this conversation. You go quiet and you give them some time to think about the tantrum that they just threw. What we want to know is that avoidant attached persons, nobody, as a matter of fact, like being judged. But when you pick up what they've done, the tantrum that they just threw as you know, a child would, and you show it to them and you say, this is not something I accept. What you're also doing in that pause is you're allowing them to see how they have behaved, and you're giving them a chance to turn things around and come back and talk to you the way you want to be spoken to, the respect that you deserve. Let's talk about when they provoke you for a response. Sometimes they say things, you've told them about your past and they just bring it up just to annoy you. They may talk about an ex. Oh, you did this and you did that. And now you feel like you have to jump in and defend yourself. What they're generally doing is they're trying to provoke a response. They want you to say something so that now they know that they have your attention. Children do this. And I know a lot of times we want to say, but these are adults we're talking about. No, if you've not healed your childhood wounds, those are the wounds that are being triggered. You've not let go of it, which means that the child within you is still very much alive. And unless that child is reparented and feels loved, then you're going to be acting from that place. You're going to pout and be passive aggressive when you don't have your way. You're going to throw a tantrum and storm out when you don't have your way. That is not the way when we're healed. It's not the way that we behave when we're healed. And when we're healed, that's when we can say, okay, I'm more adult-like. What you can do when they're provoking a response, you can say, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a reaction out of me. And you ask them, what is your objective here? And then you say, my emotions, you playing with my emotions, that's not okay. I'm not here for entertainment. You don't get to poke at me so that you'd feel better. Right? And then you say, why don't you read a book? So what you're really doing is calling out their level of immaturity. And an avoidant attached person who is behaving immaturely, they need to be called out so that now they know what your standards are. You're telling them, or you're telling anyone who throws a tantrum, that you are not going to get caught up in their drama. And you're seeing the situation for what it is. Now, when we don't do these things, when we're constantly like, oh, please don't hurt my feelings, I don't like it. I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to be empathetic, and I'm trying to appreciate your feelings, then you're kind of telling them to keep doing it. I mean, think of it this way. Imagine you have a child, or you might have a pet, and someone comes and kicks that child or that pet, which is what they do to you when someone disrespects you, and when they break your boundary, when they hurt you, when they say something mean and disrespectful, it hurts you. It's like slapping the child within you because you get really hurt. You sit there, you cry, you worry. Good? Now, imagine if they did this to your child or they did this to your pet. Are you going to sit there and say, oh, you really hurt my feelings by doing that thing, and I'm going to ask you, could you please not do it again? And then they do it again. How many times are you going to sit with them and speak to them from a secure, attached place or a mature brain? When do you think they're going to get it? There are times when people keep hurting you, when they kick your child or they kick your dog or cat or your pet. And you've got to say, and it's better to say the very first time, hell no, you don't get to do that. Hell no, you don't get to do that. It doesn't mean that you're immature. It doesn't mean that you're being bitchy. It doesn't mean that it's a backhanded comment. What it means is that you are speaking with clarity and assertiveness, and in your tone, they can tell that you are not okay with this behavior. And if they do it again, there is going to be a consequence. We have to start knowing how to speak a boundary and use the appropriate tone to deliver that message in order to get the response. And when we're talking to an avoidant attached brain or an anxious attached brain or a secure attached brain, there's a different language. There's a different way of delivering a message to each and every one of those attachment styles. Let me know your thoughts on this podcast. And on Thursday, we've got a fun podcast coming up. I am speaking with one of my Sarahs, who is someone with an avoidant attachment style, and she's going to be sharing what it's like to live as an avoidant attached person, afraid of making a decision, wanting to make that decision, but feeling on the fence about it, and what exactly it feels like within the body of someone who's got an avoidant attachment style. So join me on Thursday for that episode. Until the next time, I'm your host, Annalisa Bahadur.